Millions of people press liquid base onto their skin every morning without reading a single word on the label. That familiar bottle feels routine and gets applied without a second thought. Inside many of those products sit several categories of questionable ingredients that researchers, regulatory agencies, and independent watchdog groups have flagged as real concerns for long-term skin exposure. We will examine which chemicals to avoid, the science behind each one, and a few verified alternatives that have passed independent safety reviews. PFAS tops the list of daily offenders. These synthetic materials are heavily marketed under the appealing labels waterproof and long wear. Experts call them forever chemicals because they do not break down inside the human body or in the surrounding environment. The U.S. Environmental Working Group currently flags them as some of the most persistent toxic compounds in existence. Whenever a base product claims it will lock onto your skin for 16 hours without budging, these substances are often the reason behind it. Lawmakers in California moved to restrict PFAS in cosmetics beginning in 2025, which gives you a clear signal about how seriously they now view repeated exposure. Spotting them is straightforward. Ingredients starting with the prefix fluoro or perfluoro mean PFAS are present. Parabens have been sitting quietly in cosmetics since the 1920s, sparking controversy for decades along the way. Methylparaben and propylparaben show up most often on ingredient decks. Cosmetic manufacturers use them because they are inexpensive and they stop bacterial growth inside the container. Estrogen mimicry forms the core issue once parabens penetrate your skin, and multiple peer-reviewed studies have detected these additives inside human breast tissue samples collected during biopsy procedures. Regulators in the European Union have already restricted several paraben types in cosmetics sold there. The US FDA continues to allow them without restriction, though new state-level bans in places like California are forcing changes and transferring much of the responsibility directly to you every time you shop. Artificial fragrance sits right below parabens on the problem list, carrying a loophole built directly into the law. Cosmetic brands in the United States are legally permitted to list all scent molecules under just one word: fragrance, or its international version, Parfum. That single term can represent a blend of 200 or more separate additives, none of which the brand is required to individually disclose. Some of those hidden elements are known allergens. Respiratory irritation and skin sensitization are tied to others following repeated contact. Any face makeup listing fragrance near the top of its deck asks you to agree to an unnamed blend on your skin morning after morning. Phthalates are sneaky, largely because you rarely see them named outright on a label. They often hide inside that same fragrance loophole, or they appear under names like diethyl phthalate. Manufacturers add phthalates primarily as plasticizers to increase flexibility or as fragrance solvents to help scents last longer, rather than to help the liquid glide smoothly. The biological effect creates the real problem, since phthalates are classified as endocrine disruptors, meaning they interfere with the hormones your body relies on to regulate metabolism, reproduction, and energy levels. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control has detected phthalates in the urine of a wide cross-section of the American population, reflecting how widespread regular exposure has already become. Formaldehyde releasers act as preservatives, working by slowly releasing tiny amounts of formaldehyde inside the product over its shelf life. Looking closely at labels, you will find these agents listed as DMDM-hydantoin, imidazolidinylurea, and quaternium-15. Researchers at the International Agency for Research on Cancer classify formaldehyde itself as a known human carcinogen. Applying a liquid makeup containing these releasers means your skin absorbs trace amounts with every use, and that contact accumulates over months and years of application. Strict concentration limits exist for formaldehyde releasers in the European Union. The United States currently ignores this precaution. PEG ingredients appear on labels as PEG followed by a number, like PEG 8 or PEG 100. Brands use them to create smooth, blendable textures in liquid bases, and on their own, they carry a relatively low risk profile. The true issue hides within the manufacturing process. These chemicals are made through an industrial reaction called ethoxylation, which frequently leaves behind a byproduct called 1,4-dioxane. Officials at the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency classify 1,4-dioxane as a likely human carcinogen. Since it acts as a manufacturing contaminant rather than a direct ingredient, it never appears on the back of any bottle, which means you buy the product and have no way of knowing it is in there. BHT, short for butylated hydroxytoluene, represents the 7th ingredient category to cut from your routine. Brands add it to stop the oils inside a bottle from going rancid before the product ever reaches your shelf. Regulators consider it acceptable at the concentrations used in processed food. Applying it directly to skin on a regular basis shifts the calculation entirely. Independent cosmetic databases rate BHT as a moderate hazard, citing links to skin irritation and potential organ toxicity with long-term repeated exposure. Scientists at Germany's Federal Institute for Risk Assessment have separately raised concerns about BHT's interaction with thyroid function. Layering more products onto your skin makes that accumulation build even faster. Well People BioTint Broad Spectrum line stands as the first alternative, proudly carrying an independent verified safety mark. Earning that strict designation requires a brand to disclose all ingredients, score below hazard thresholds, and pass a thorough third-party review with no shortcuts permitted. Their blend relies on plant-derived extracts rather than artificial preservatives, sits at an accessible mid-range price point, and clears full transparency requirements without exception. Anyone beginning to move away from conventional makeup will find this a practical entry point. Juice Beauty's Phytopigments Flawless Serum Base is built around certified organic ingredients, anchored by grapeseed oil and aloe vera juice, rather than plastic film-forming agents or controversial preservatives. Delivering natural antioxidants directly to the skin surface, grapeseed oil works alongside aloe vera to provide deep conditioning without compromising your health. Full ingredient lists are published directly on their website, though third-party reviewers like EWG give this product a moderate hazard score. Blending out into a natural skin-like glow rather than a heavy, opaque layer makes it practical for regular use. Maia's Mineral Galaxy Cream and Powder Makeup rounds out our list, ranking among the highest-rated options for sensitive skin across independent watchdog platforms. Their cream and powder products contain no artificial preservatives, fragrances, or PEG derivatives. Plant-based antimicrobials and vitamin E handle preservation instead, working without releasing harmful byproducts over time. Shoppers with reactive skin consistently report fewer breakouts and less redness compared to conventional alternatives. Those mineral pigments deliver buildable coverage across a wide range of skin tones, functioning beautifully without requiring a harsh thickener to hold the color in place. Your skin absorbs a meaningful share of what you apply to it regularly, and liquid base covers more surface area than almost any other item in a typical routine. The average adult uses between 9 and 15 personal care products daily before stepping outside, according to data compiled by the Environmental Working Group. Base coverage is nearly always the very first layer. That position matters immensely because every item that follows goes directly on top of whatever is already sitting on your skin. The ingredient quality of that initial layer sets the toxicity baseline for your entire morning routine. Pull your current bottle off the shelf and run its ingredients through the EWG Skin Deep database at ewg.org. Any additive scoring above a 3 on their hazard scale deserves a hard look. If your daily staple fails that check, the 3 alternatives outlined above give you a clear, verified place to start. Stop applying unknown chemicals to your face and make the safer switch today.